You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Zanna on United States.fm network.
Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with Zanna on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States.fm network. Second hour about guns. I always told you, the gun, after all, it is just a tool. It is just an extension of your will to survive, or your will to defend your life, of course, and to defend your freedom. Don't get me wrong, you must have a gun. I mean, at least you must start with something, okay? But the bottom line is mindset is also another component. But training is the third element that I really believe it's important. Not every one of us had the chance or the opportunity to go through some sort of military training. Sometimes you think you are just a good shot, you can shoot your group or whatever, you can manipulate your weapon. That's great, don't get me wrong, it's a great start. But there are some elements that I really believe now more than ever we need to have among law-abiding citizens in this country to be prepared. And I'm not talking about becoming the next George A. Rambo, okay? No, I'm just talking about some basics, training, some basic skills that they are beyond shooting a rifle and also qualify as a rifleman. And that's the foundation, of course. I'm talking about things from how to track or how to avoid to be tracked. Let's say how to survive, how to conduct a raid, how to conduct a recon. I mean, I understand many of you may say, what? I'm here, I live in America and we don't need to do this stuff. Unfortunately, history is repeating itself. We've been talking about that for me since the beginning of the show, but it is nothing new. And things are happening, things are in motion. I mean, look what's happening right now in many big cities, okay? This rioting, this Black Lives Matter, whatever, just another excuse to create mayhem and to create distraction. Of course, every crisis is also an excuse for the government to implement more restrictions. Among those, one of the things that we have to face may be also a martial law. Last year, I had an incredible guest. I really like his products, and I like also what he sells. It's a great guy. He's a veteran. And also is a new, let's say, documentary producer. I don't want to call this a movie because this is not like entertainment. It's about learning. And all I want to say, I had him last year for his first product. And this year I wanted him again because he has the new version. His name is Chad Cooper from Infidel Body Armor. Chad, are you there?
I am. Thank you for having me.
Very good. Thank you for coming back. 1 year later, they say, we're still here, thank God, and things, though, they are moving forward. What do you think about just from what you see with your own eyes, your experience? Last year we talked about very serious topics, like the political situation that we have and the threats to our rights. How are we evolving? Are we getting better or are we getting worse since the last year we talked?
Well, I'd say it's pretty evident that we're getting worse. With the startup of the Black Lives Matter, the evolution of what we've seen happening overseas with a lot of the immigrants, refugees coming in and taking advantage of the situation that they've been given, increased rapes and beheadings and things like that in Europe. And I just saw a headline that the United States is bringing in half of the refugees that have come in this past year have been Muslim. I think we're setting ourselves up for a lot of danger, and it would behoove us, I think, to be prepared for the worst.
Exactly, and I agree with you. This is the more ever the time that this country needs everybody. That's why I appreciate what you're doing. I know you're a veteran. And this is time that veterans, in my opinion, instead of just being, and I'm not talking for you, of course, but unfortunately, I have local situations yet. I know many of these veterans now, they like to spend their time at the VFW getting drunk or whatever. I understand. There is time also to do that. Don't get me wrong. But this is the time we need your skills. We need your help. We need to be prepared. And that's why I think what you're doing, it's important because you're not just keeping your skills, whatever you learn, for yourself. You try to share this with every one of us. So that's why I believe what we need here is to help each other, and that's I think I'm just trying to share your message. That's my little job here. Now, before we go ahead, I already talk about you, but I like always to talk a little bit about my guests. So it's not just somebody that I got on the phone. I mean, give us a little bit about your background, professional background, as a veteran, and also right now what you do for a living.
Sure. I'm a former police officer, and I also am an Air Force veteran. After I got out of the Air Force, I did defense contracting for 4 years. And along the tail end of that 4, I started my own business selling preparedness items, and also a new company back then for body armor, bulletproof vests. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I do now full time. I work with Infidel, or I work for Infidel Body Armor, and what we're primarily focused on is helping people to be prepared. And yes, we have police contracts. Yes, we have military contracts selling body armor, but I would say by and large, at least 85 to 90% of our sales go to civilians, to just regular people that want to be prepared. And if you had asked me this a couple of years ago, do we all need to have body armor? My answer, I probably would have laughed at you and said, no, why do we need body armor? But now it just seems that it's getting to that point where it's something to own, or at least consider. If you own a gun, you should also have some armor and train with that armor, because it really does change the dynamic of your center of gravity. Things change. You're adding extra weight. It makes it more difficult to move. So you got to always be training. You need to be physically fit. You need to know how to fight with your gun and fight with your body armor. And so not only do we just sell equipment, yes, we like to make money selling equipment, but we're also selling education. We're also providing education, I should say. We want people to be as prepared as possible. And if that means teaching people about water purification, if that means teaching them about food, how to drive tactically and smartly, then that's what it takes, and we're going to do that. So that is what prompted me to film Driven. And so that's why Luca asked me to come on, is to talk about our new DVD and book that has come out. Last year he interviewed me, and we talked about Driven 1. And we've just released Driven 2. And so we're headlong into the release, and things have been going very well. Response has been great. Driven is basically set up as a fun way to learn about survival in the tactical survival sense.
Yes.
So
let me ask you.
You watch the movie. You watch it. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Let me ask you, because I tell you, last night I watched it twice, and I tell you, first of all, congratulations. You did a great improvement on many things there. My humble opinion. I mean, the first one I think was great, just the idea to put it out. But like everything, there's always room to make it better, and I think you really accomplished that. First of all, production is top quality. I mean, I think you use for just what I see outside, high definitions, and that's top. You go straight to the point. But I like the plot, honestly. I like also the fact now that you have, of course, this is not entertaining. This is not like, people don't expect you watching some sort of action movie, okay? This is like a training product that gives you also some sort of emphasis on, let's say, situations, okay? So this is not exactly like a movie, but you have found a way to teach things in a way that people can also follow a story, okay? Now, I like, first of all, the idea of how you got the intro, and I'm not trying to spoil everything, but, just to give some ideas. By the way, how did you find that impersonator for Obama? I don't think that was Obama, of course, talking at the beginning with a voice. So, what did you find that guy?
Oh, yeah, well, there are impersonators that will, do all kinds of impersonations. So we found a Barack Obama voice impersonator to do the voiceover for the beginning. And basically we set the stage, and he announces that he is, in effect, implementing martial law because of the lawlessness in America. Mm-hmm. And gosh, would it really surprise you if he said something like that today or tomorrow? based on all of the stuff that's happening right now.
No, I mean, and the executive orders, that's why I say, people can laugh all they want. I mean, of course, most of my listeners don't laugh, but of course, there are people still that think we're a bunch of crazy people. But when you look at facts directly from the White House website, all the latest executive orders of the last 8 years, okay? And I want just to refresh, for example, just a couple. I mean, the Patriot Defense of Liberty and Able Act, okay? There was, we have talking about here, the United Nations are allowed on U.S. soil to also shoot and fire on Americans. Then we have another executive orders of a couple of years ago that the Interpol, that pretty much for me it's a New World Order police, okay, it's international police, supposed to have no jurisdiction in America, okay? They can come on U.S. soil with completely immunity and do whatever they damn please, and Obama gave him, through the executive order, the type of immunity. So let's say, for example, somebody like me, I'm an American citizen right now, okay? I refuse and I renounce my Italian citizenship. I do something that very stupid, like, for example, I say online that the Italian president is a scumbag. I am protected by my First Amendment in this country, but according to the Italian law, I could spend 5 years in jail. Guess what? Technically, and I said technically, could happen that the Interpol could come and arrest me, or at least try, of course. But that's the bottom line. We are living in a new America, and the facts, they're out there. So this is the point. Now, talking about, what you're saying, because, this is so important. You start the documentary or movie with this scenario, okay? And then you go to a plot that I think is brilliant, by the way. And I don't want to spoil too much, but I tell you, it's the first thing that I imagine when I saw the convoy, and I saw they're supposed to be gangs, and then I saw the guy dressed all like almost some sort of a bureaucrat. Then you don't say it all, but you give a good hint, because after all, the government wants the people to go to the FEMA camps because there is fear out there that there are these gangs coming around and doing bad things to American people. And then, of course, you give the hint at the end that maybe that's not really just a gang. But please continue.
No, you're exactly right. So what we've created is a scenario that could be real, a realistic scenario. And what we want to do is we created the scenario for training purposes so that people can say, oh, wow, if I was in this situation, what would I have to do to survive? Or do I have the skills to get out of this bad situation? So we have gangs that are roving around and causing lawlessness. They're kidnapping girls. They're burning down houses, doing all kinds of lawlessness. And what you hinted at was that there's some question of, are these really just lawless gangs, or are these plants from the government that are actually causing this, otherwise known as a false flag?
Yes.
And so we have this group, this band of survivors that are basically up against this lawless gang that might be part of the government. And we have one of our guys gets kidnapped. And so that sets the opportunity for us to talk about, how do you resist an interrogation? How do you escape out of band? If you're bound up and tied up, how do you get out? How do you obscure your tracks? So if there's a person tracking you, how do you get away? We talk about how to rescue a person. If they need rescuing, we talk about setting up escape routes and plans and things like that. We also talked about, night vision, and we get into a gunfight where we have a person who's shot in the leg, and we apply first aid to this person, and we also do bounding techniques, so you can learn how to fight as a team. And we also use smoke, and it shows you how important using smoke is to obscure your movement in the event you are in a firefight. Now, this is all just imaginary and fictional, but you can really, really see how something like this could really happen in the not too distant future.
Yeah, and regardless when or if it's going to happen, I really believe when somebody out there take the time and the commitment to be prepared to defend themselves, their families, and our country, okay? I really believe this is our duty, all of us. You cannot just think, okay, I got my rifle, I got my shotgun. By the way, that's not enough. That's to defend your castle. You got to have a rifle. I don't know how to shoot. That's not enough. Unless you had the type of opportunity like many veterans had, and still they need to be refreshed once in a while. They still need to train because they are perishable skills. I really believe what your video does at least give you the idea to know what you do not know, and at least is a starting point. Because yes, you have, let's say, like a book, you can read it. You can say, okay, I got an idea. Then you got to practice it, For example, basic things. I like a lot the idea also how to move on a terrain. Like, for example, you were making it very simple but very effective. The diamond formation, I think it's a very simple thing that even if you have just a family, let's say if you have dad and a couple children or at least a couple teenagers and your wife, you don't want to walk like a pack of sheeple, walking around. You want to use the best techniques you can have to survive, to move safely. I mean, you don't need to join the army to learn this stuff. Your video gives a great opportunity for that. Now, if we can say at least 4 most important things that any of the potential viewers should remember or memorize and practice out of your DVD, what would you suggest?
4 things that they could take away from it. Let's see.
Let's say, something that you think it's a must. You can't miss that. The other one, okay, maybe. But these 4 things, you must really learn them and train them.
Okay. So I think the first thing is that people need to plan. If you go into a situation without a plan, you're really probably not going to fare too well. So in our last movie of Driven 1, we ended with our pre-mission brief. And this Driven 2 picked up from the end of that and carried on, and we did a pre-combat inspection. And so we have our plan. We reviewed our DARs. We reviewed what you're going to do if you get lost. We reviewed what would happen if we had a contact or a combat event. So we had a plan going into it. And I think that's really key for any operation or anything that you're going to do. You need to have a plan. And so I think that would be number 1. Number 2 is working together as a team. If you are going to do something with a group of people and you've never worked together before, you're going to have a really hard time communicating and reading each other if you've never done anything together before. So a big takeaway is say, hey, if you have a group of people that you think are going to be your close allies during a survival event, don't wait for that event. Practice now. At the very minimum, talk about what you think you're going to do. But if you can get out and actually train together, you'll be heads over anybody else. So, example, in our movie, we get to what we call a danger area. We had to cross a road. And we didn't even have to talk because we didn't want to make extra noise explaining and say, okay, now you go over here and you go over here and make sure you watch this way and you make sure you watch that way. We knew what we were going to do because we had trained together. And so when we got to that danger crossing, our patrol leader, which was me in the movie, I gave the sign for what we were going to do, and we did it. And it went off very well. So 1, have a plan. 2, train together. Number 3, I think, would be to remain flexible. Things are not always going to go to plan. So you need to have a backup. And that's something that we really talked about in the first movie was an acronym in the military we called PACE, which stands for Primary, Alternative, Contingency, and Emergency. What that means in layman's terms is have a backup plan for your backup plan. Mm-hmm. Always have a plan to do something if it goes bad. So we did have a plan when things went sideways on us, but be flexible and be ready to adapt in the event something doesn't go the way you think it's going to go. I've seen it where the toughest guy freezes up.
Yes.
When something doesn't happen the way that he thinks it should go down, he's like, oh, I don't know what I should do. Mm-hmm. But be flexible and be ready to adapt.
Yes.
And I think the last point is and this goes back to being prepared, you've got to have the right equipment. We talked about, you've mentioned having a shotgun and having a rifle, but gosh, in our scenario, we did a rescue, and it happened to be at night.
Yes.
So, we had night vision, and if you don't have night vision, you are going to have a really, really hard time operating at night. So the more training you have, the more prepared you are with equipment, it gives you more options and allows you to be flexible. So all those four things kind of go together. And so I'm not just saying go out and buy a bunch of equipment. Buy the equipment, yes, but also train with it, train with your group, and be prepared to take a left when you plan to go right, and know what your backup plan is to your backup.
I agree. I mean, this is very true. As much as I understand that most of, I'd say a good part, I don't say most, a good part of the American population, especially compared with the rest of the world, okay? We have at least an edge. At least there is an armed population with our second amendment. But still, to have even your safe full of weapons and maybe sitting on 10,000 rounds doesn't make you a fighter. It doesn't make you a prepared person. It's a good start. But practicing and preparing, like you're saying, it's another level. It's the next level that I really invite everybody should do. And don't get me wrong, you should still, first of all, apply yourself to accomplish the basics, marksmanship. If you don't know how to shoot as a rifleman, that's the first thing you should do. 4 minutes of angle, you should qualify at least for the Army qualification test, at least to be able to hit, let's say, at 200 yards, a group of 8 inches. That would be the standard, okay? But before that, or at least after that, as you said, there are many other things that we probably never thought about it, or at least we should talk more and practice more. Now, one thing I like very much, you have a great guest, by the way, great people out there. One of the guy is one of the main actors, at least, is the Army Ranger veteran that is at least part of the main people that you have there. And then also you have another new guy that is the bad guy, supposedly, okay, in this part, and is this sort of a famous, at least expert tracker. And who is he?
Yeah.
Tell me about him a little bit.
Yeah, so one of the bad guys in our story is a guy named Freddie, and that's actually his real name. His name is Freddie Osuna. You can look him up online.
Yes.
He is the owner of a company called Greenside Training. And Greenside's actually in Arizona, down in Benson. And he provides training for all sorts of law enforcement, U.S. Marshal Service, but he also does tracking for just regular Joe people that want to learn how to track. Mm-hmm. And he's a Marine Corps sniper. He's a Native American, and he has spent almost his entire life living outdoors, and he knows how to track. If anybody is serious about tracking, whether you want to track humans or animals for hunting, it's the same principles, but you need to look up Freddie at Greenside Training. He graciously agreed to play the bad guy in our video, and he tracks our Army Ranger. But Freddie's really sharp, excellent guy. I can't say enough good stuff about him.
That's why he's
a true hero.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to point it out. You did a good job, really, also putting out good, let's say, substantial contributors to this. Okay, it's not just talking from the books. Okay, I think it's a great guy, that one, and also I like a lot. I forgot his name, but the Ranger guy, he got a very good experience there. So you make all this information available in. How long is the DVD? It's not that long. What, 1 hour maybe? I forgot.
No. Our first one came out. It was just over an hour long. This one's just shy of an hour.
Yeah.
But it's feature length, and I want to touch back on something that you said. This really does, to me, it plays like a movie, and it's fun to watch for me.
Yes.
It's got action. It's got some special effects. We've got some bloodshot wounds and blah blah blah. But all of our actors, they're actually real guys. They're actually real veterans that know what they're doing. So they're not Hollywood guys that are just, shooting guns and doing what the director tells them to do. These are guys that are doing what their experience in the military has shown them actually works. So everything that you see in the movie is modeled correctly. Mm-hmm. Like, you don't have to say, oh, that I would never do that, or that's wrong. It's not wrong, it's right. So I think it's really beneficial just to watch and see the way that real soldiers and Marines conduct themselves in battle.
Yeah,
And
you're right. And I like also, by
learn
the
a
way,
lot.
you got some new, let's say, technique. Like, for example, you got a beautiful aero view that you did, probably with some drones, I guess. I mean, you got some nice shots there. But also, I like the fact that, you got this time like almost a small movie production. I mean, how many people you got more now? At least with the gangs and everybody else, you got at least another 20 people in the team there. It's kind of interesting how you evolved also as a production there. But question now.
We had close to 30 people involved in the production of this.
Yeah, it's a
So
small little.
pretty substantial.
Yes, that's great. That's why I say, listen, guys. First of all, let's give the website where people can at least take a look, and then if they want to, they can buy. I mean, for me, my opinion, there is no even question asked, because unless you already have the type of background, I mean, for what? Well, give us the price and give us the website for probably a couple of, let's say, not even a couple, a very humble dinner out, probably the cheap place. You can save that dinner and get this information, maybe share with your family, share with your friends, sit down together, watch this few times and start to practice it. That would be worth it. Give the website, please, and also how much people can buy for.
Sure. Yeah, you can purchase it if you go to drivendvd.com. So drivendvd.com. That will take you to the website where you can choose to purchase Driven 1 or Driven 2, or you can buy a combo and buy them both together and you actually save money. So individually, we're selling them for just under $40 each, which includes the DVD, but also a book. And the book is incredible. Like, by itself, the book is worth that much. No kidding. It's an illustrated book and goes into very, very good detail, not only the tactics, but the mindset and the philosophy behind the tactics that we use. So it's drivendvd.com. Each DVD is roughly $40. It's $39.99. If you buy the combo, you'll save $10, and you'll have an opportunity to join Team Infidel when you do your checkout. Now, what does joining the membership do for you? Well, if you're going to buy equipment, it gives you a 10% discount on anything that you purchase from Infidel Body Armor, which is my company. You get 10% off. Plus, you'll get access to hundreds of articles written by veterans. So the movie's just the start, but there's tons of articles that we've written on anything from convoy operations to checkpoints to communications security, all sorts of things. One extra thing that we're doing right now is the first 1,000 people that order also get a free Paracord Bracelet that has a whistle, a fire starter, and a serrated blade all in that. And you can either use it as a wristband, or you can stick it on your backpack, or use it as a keychain, but it's got some tools in there. And there's about 12 feet of paracord in this bracelet. And you can do all kinds of things with paracord, from starting a fire to building a shelter to fishing with it, making snares. There's like 1,001 uses for paracord. So I think it's a great value. You get the DVD, the book, and a paracord bracelet, all for $39.99 at drivendvd.com.
Very good. And I really believe, seriously, guys, by the way, just for the record, not because I care, if I bring you a sponsor, I tell you this is a sponsor. This is not my sponsor. I brought you here because I really believe from my heart what you're doing is important. I mean, we're talking about for a few dollars to give to the average American that maybe has a good heart, a good intention, and he wants to try his best or her best. But what do you start? I mean, maybe you're already a grown-up person and you cannot go back to join any type of military to get that type of skills. You have at least a starting point. At least you may have a chance to sit down, realize what you do not know, and even just from there, say, okay, let me find some help. Because there is much more than just shooting, guys. Okay, yes, shooting straight, as I said, is always the first step, but there is much more, and training is vital. And there are many situations. For example, one thing I like very much in the DVD, how you use these smoke grenades. Okay, because that's something people we underestimate, because normally, yeah, in the real life scenario, at least for what normally we have as a real life, if we had to face just a regular scumbag out there, you don't need this sort of a tool. But in situations like, for example, maybe really anarchy out there, like, for example, it happened in the past in Katrina, or it's happening right now in many other American cities with all this racial hate, civil war. We're almost a civil war right there. If you're surrounded and you need to evacuate and somebody's shooting at you, I don't care if they're good or not, they're still shooting at you. You want to have that edge. And I think it's very important to have that type of, you don't need to buy 1,000 grenades, small grenades, but even at least a few and practice, it would give you an edge. Tell us a little bit about these smoke grenades. I think they're really very well done, and as you said, they are better than the regular military ones for one reason. Go ahead.
Well, they really are better. The military version of the smoke grenades is the M18s. So they're metal in the military, and they have what's called a spoon. And as soon as you pull it, you've got 5 seconds. You've got to toss it. And if you don't, you will burn your hand badly. You can get second, maybe even third-degree burns from the heat generated by the smoke grenade. And that's one big difference from the military smoke grenades and our smoke grenades. Ours makes a cold smoke, so you can hold that grenade the entire time without any kind of burns. And so to me, that's right there is worth it. But it produces the same amount of smoke in the same amount of time. So 45 seconds to a minute of tons of smoke. And so we've got different colors: white, black, red, purple, green, blue, yellow. There's different colors, and they all work the same. They all work the same principle. Why do people use different colors? Well, in the military, you might have a order that says the color is purple if you need a medical evac, but tomorrow it might be green, and you just use the one that your orders. That way the enemy doesn't get clue into you of what color you're using to lure in helicopters. Like, they might get their hands on a smoke grenade and say, "Oh, let's pop the purple one," and then shoot the helicopter when they land. But for civilians, unless you're communicating, you can pick any color you want. Yeah, and they all work very well. But we've got a kit. We sell it at Infidel Body Armor. You can pull the cord. It's got a pull ring. You pull the cord, and the smoke instantly starts coming out, and you've got billowing smoke for 45 seconds, which can do a bunch of things for you. One, it's going to provide concealment, so the enemy can't see. You can't hit what you can't see. So it provides concealment. You can use it as a distraction. If you threw it further to one side or the other, the enemy is going to look over there at that smoke, and while they're looking one way, you can go the other. You can actually throw it on the enemy and obscure their vision. So say you need to move and the smoke's not covering where you're moving to, you can throw it and hit the enemy and obscure their vision. There's a lot of uses for it. In the military, the second thing, if you're walking around on patrol and you take fire, somebody starts shooting at you, the very first thing you do is return fire and take cover at the same time. You return fire as you're taking cover. The second thing you do is pop smoke. It's critical to give yourself the edge, like you said, and smoke can do that for you. So we don't make a lot of money on the smoke, but I think it's one of those things that are just so important that if you're planning to be in combat, if you're planning for any sort of situation where you might be using your battle rifle, you need to have smoke right along with you.
I agree. No, I agree. This is something we way overlooked, because normally we just think about, okay, the gun or the rifle, it's for home defense, self-defense, and the sheriff is going to show up later, maybe in 20 minutes later. No, this is about what if there is no anymore law and order, like already it's happening in many parts of the states. Okay, I mean, look at, for example, in Baltimore. I mean, the police were told to stand down. Okay, meanwhile, your home or your business was burning down. And maybe you are now, like, for example, in Milwaukee, you are being targeted just because the color of your skin. Okay, so you got to think about, you do what you can with yourself and God if you believe in God. That's the bottom line. So everything, things like that, I'm not even going to, for example, other tools that are understandable, more expensive. Like, for example, you got great stuff, you got Generation 3 night visions. I mean, that's not exactly something you can buy maybe overnight, but just the idea from that one to some sort of a small grenade, they can give you the basic for a few dollars. It's something. But
$15. It's $15 for a smoke grenade.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the best money you'll ever spend.
I agree.
Use it on the next 4th of July. Make sure you practice with it. Just like everything, you got to practice with it. Buy a couple so you can at least use one to know how it works. But it's one of the cheaper items that can really help you out tactically. Night vision, like you said, it's expensive. It's a $3,000 investment.
Yeah.
It could save your life, but it is expensive. I understand, but yeah, there's smoke. There's a lot of things that you can do to help give yourself an edge. And I want to throw this out here too. Like you led with and said, it's important to get training, and a lot of times people can't afford it, and that's why they should look toward this DVD and maybe getting some other alternative type of ideas to conduct training. We actually are holding our very first ever Infidel training camp, and we've got 2 dates in September 24th and 25th, and then October 8th and 9th. We're going to be doing a 2-day pistol carbine course with a optional night ops course. But we're putting that on, and we're only charging $500 for the whole weekend. It's a fantastic opportunity to get hands-on training. We've got 2 Army Rangers and a sniper that are going to be there doing the training. So top-notch training for $500. To me, that's worth it. I understand everybody's situation is different, but it's a great opportunity to get some real training.
I think I know, but I just remember a reminder to the customer, to the listeners, and of course potential clients. Where are you located? Which part of the world?
So the training is going to be conducted in Indiana, and I don't know if all your customers or if your customers, you got me saying it now. Your listeners are in Arizona. I know that's where you're based, but the training will be done in Indiana. And if anybody's interested, they can shoot me an email, and I can give them all the information about it. My email is info@infidelbodyarmor.com. But we've just about filled up all our spots. We've got about 3 spots left. If anyone is looking for a good training event, September, and then another one in October. And we offer, you can camp at the range, or there's a hotel about 10 miles away.
That's probably, if I were you guys, first of all, camp at the range, you want to train also and practice your gear. I mean, if there is an emergency situation, I don't think you're going to book a hotel at the Hilton, okay? So you might probably start to test your gear. How can you camp out in the middle of nowhere? But regardless, think about it. If people still have a little bit of money out there and they still use that money to go on vacation or things like that, this probably could be the best vacation time you could use for your family. Maybe you don't need to go with the whole family, but just a family member going out there, being very disciplined to learn as much as you can and bring back that information and try to share with the rest of your family or even just the rest of your group, whatever you are. So I tell you, think about it. People.
A number of people doing that. Yeah, we've got we've got a guy bringing his daughter out there. We've got another guy that's bringing his son. But yeah, generally it's usually one person that goes out and they get the training and they bring it back to their group. They bring that information back to their group.
Yeah.
And it really is fun. If you've never been to an overnight, it's going to be 8 hours a day on Saturday and Sunday for the training, and it's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But you also really get to put your skills and your equipment to the test.
I believe that. And by the way, as I said, I know that many of you guys can afford to go out of your state for vacation. Some of you like to go to Hawaii. Some of you go, I don't know where you go. But the point, you still go on vacation. I know that. Think about it. Maybe next year, we may not have any more time to go on vacation. And you wish you did use that time to learn everything you could. Okay, after all, it's $500, okay, and some driving and some gas money. But think about it. Some people had to put probably at least 4 or 8 or 20 years in the service to get that information. So it's a pretty good deal. You don't need to spend at least 4 years in any type of army or armed force branch. Okay, that's the idea, to get basic or at least even beyond basic training. Okay, listen, I want to say, first of all, one thing though irritated me last night. The ending. You left me out in the middle of, I was watching the Driven, and I say, it's like almost when you watch this TV series that you want to see the end, and you left me in suspense. Like, what?
Yeah, it's a cliffhanger.
I said, what? I was ready with another bag of popcorn to go through the rest of the stuff. Instead, my bag was still full because I had to go the second one. I said, anyway, it was great, but I think you're gonna go for number 3, I guess, right? Because that's the way you left.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're set up to go for Driven 3.
All right.
And we've already started the works for Driven 3. Just to kind of give you an idea of what we're going to do for that. We're going to be hooking up. Driven 2 leaves with our Army Ranger and Chad, which is my character, being pursued by a government force. And we are going to actually hook up with a whole bunch of other preparedness people, survivalists, whatever you call them, preppers. And we are going to mount a no-kidding attack. And we'll end up using snipers. And so a lot of the instruction that will come from this is you will learn really how to do long-range precision shooting.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of interest out there about how do you actually shoot somebody long range? How do you figure the ballistic drop, for whatever it is you're shooting? How do you figure windage? Stuff like that. So that's really what we'll be covering, and then once again, group tactics beyond the small squad size. We'll be moving up to bigger.
Let me
size.
just share one thing. I think it was very good and useful, the information that you put at the end. Okay, and I'm not trying to spoil it, but this is good information I'm trying to share. Sometimes we think that. Let's say these emergency blankets, they're just in case you're stranded and you need to keep your body cool, warm. That's fine. But what if, really, especially with the technology that we have today, somebody, could be anybody, could be also a bad guy. Doesn't need to be like in this part of your movie or documentary, an helicopter that probably is going to be used mostly. I'm just guessing, of course, the hint that you gave through the project, maybe some government agency. No, it could be also now bad guys having access to type of thermal imaging devices. That was was a very good, and I think was very thoughtful to start to show that you can use this sort of a basic, very economical. We're talking about $3 or $4 stuff for these blankets, these emergency blankets. They can protect you not just from the cold, but also can protect you to being spotted when somebody's trying to track you with this sort of thermal images. Did you try, what type of blanket did you use? Was any specific blanket, or you got some standard emergency blanket for this?
Okay, so I own some thermal imaging devices, and we tested out at least 5 different blankets before we selected the one that we were going to use. Mm-hmm. All of them will work to some degree. The one that we found that works the very, very best is a brand called Landshark. Landshark. And I think it's landshark.com that sells them. But it's designed for... It was originally designed to go into small aircraft.
Wow.
And so if the aircraft has to crash land into the ocean, it's a blanket, or it's a sleeping bag type of bag where the pilot can crash into the ocean and then get into the sleeping bag and float in the water, and all the blood and whatever doesn't mix with the ocean water, so it won't attract sharks, but it also keeps his body temperature high. So you can use it in the ocean, you can use it in the on ground, and just on Earth, and it works fantastically to keep your body temperature up. The thing itself is reversible. So on one side it's orange. If you're needing to be rescued, you want people to see bright orange. Mm-hmm. The other side of it is camouflage. So if you want to stay hidden, you can stay hidden. And the way we used it in the movie, we actually ended up splitting it open and making it into a blanket rather than a sleeping bag. And we were able to hide under it and basically hide from a thermal camera. Now, the owner, I've talked to the owner, the guy that got the patent for this land shark material, and they had it tested against Apache helicopters using thermal vision, and it's 100% effective against Apache helicopter night vision or thermal vision. And so for all of those reasons, that's why we went with the land shark, because it works the absolute best. There's other stuff out there that's like, it works, but not that great. This is 100% effective, and I really like it.
This is great information, by the way, and yes, it is not exactly correct. I'm wrong. I was wrong. This is not a $5 emergency blanket. This is way more expensive, but it's worth it, especially after the information you gave us, because you already tried out, you test them out. If this really can work against the technology of scanning and thermal imaging of an Apache helicopter, it's worth definitely the few extra dollars. I mean, I'm here on the website, by the way. It's great stuff. I mean, this is really good information. I appreciate it for you to share it with us, because I'm going to pretty much buy them out right now while I'm talking to you.
I think what is it, $50? I can't remember what the cost is.
Okay, here on their website, maybe I'm sure there are other vendors that may have different prices, but if you go to www.land-shark.com, and there is the basic, the one you're talking about with the camo for $69, okay, free shipping. Maybe there are other stores that may sell it for cheaper, but the point is, I'm not talking about you buying a house, okay? You're still buying something that you, in case one day you may need it, that could really save your life in every way. So I think it's definitely worth the quality if you're talking about like this, That's so interesting. Do you sell also those? Are you selling them directly? I think it's gone. Hey, Chad, let me call him back. Hey, Chad. 1 second. That's strange. Nice conversation about tools to defend yourself against thermal imaging. And the line went down. Hey, Chad.
Hey, thanks for calling back.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got you back. I can hear you now.
Good. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I was saying definitely worth it, the extra money. And do you sell also those on your website?
No, I don't.
Okay.
So
anyway,
I'm not self-promoting. It's a really good product.
I appreciate
I can't recommend them enough.
But I appreciate it for sharing it with us, because it's very good, important stuff. Listen, I want to first of all thank you. Before I let you go, I need to do 1 second my little sponsor, and then I want to give you the chance, of course, to repeat every way people they can contact you. Listeners, listen to me. Very important. This is now 2016, and we're talking about August, okay? The elections may be in a couple months, 2-3 months. I don't know what's going to happen even next week. Seriously, things the way they are moving, we have no idea. Whatever you can do today, do it today. And I say something, if you already have rifles, that's great. Use the money for training. But if you're new, if you need to get your first rifle, or at least you want to arm maybe the rest of your family, I came out with a product that I think is really coming from my heart. And the idea is to make the most affordable AR-15 on the market, made in the USA. Don't trade on us, the Freedom Rifle. You go to www.freedomrifle.com, and for just $499, you can get something that normally would cost you at least double, and you can see the views, the videos. This is not a cheap product. We have tested this rifle, the lower, for example. We ran over with an Humvee, 11,000 Humvee on the asphalt, not even a scratch. And just go to freedomrifle.com. If you need a rifle, don't waste your time. That's all I want to say. Meanwhile, also, when you buy one of these rifles, you also support the show, so I can bring you guests like Chad and anybody who I think is worth it to just share their information to give you the tools that you need to defend yourself, your family, and our country. Chad, I give you the floor. Give everything you need to give for people to contact you. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I know that means a lot when somebody wants to go out of their way. I'm not paying Luca anything, and he's not paying me. He's not making a dime on this. The video is really good, guys. If you served in the military, if you didn't serve in the military, you're going to learn something. And that one thing may save your life. My hope is that you'll do something to improve your situation, preparedness-wise. And drivendvd.com is one of those places that you can learn something. And there's a whole community there of members that just have so much information to share. Like I said, we've got hundreds of articles written by veterans. We've got videos, webinars that we've done by very, very experienced people that are experts in their field that just have the same desire that we do, and that's to share the information. These guys have gone through combat. They've, seen the worst of humanity, and the stories and lessons that they have taken away, they're willing to share that with you. And I think it's worth it to listen to them, because those experiences are priceless. You don't ever want to experience it yourself to get that information when you can just listen to somebody else and get it. And that's really all I've got is check us out. It's guaranteed. If you get the DVD and you don't like it, send it back. We'll give you your money back. It's really nothing to lose, everything to gain.
That's great.
That's it.
That's great. I want to say something. The show, of course, goes on the air on 1340 AM and maybe also another station in California. But the point is, regardless, I always put this on regular on YouTube, okay, and also on Facebook. Please share this information. Seriously, as I said, and also Chad said, I'm not making any money here, okay. My only goal as a new American that really love this country and I care about us, we the people, okay? We're going to face very terrible times. We're already facing terrible times. I mean, seriously, think if you're stuck in one of these big cities right now and your family had to worry about even opening the door, or maybe somebody's crashing the door just because of the color of your skin. Think how sad it is. So we got to prepare now, and that's the only reason why I want to share this information now. I'm not going to wait tomorrow or next week or next month. So please share it, do what you can, and that's it. And that's all I can do right now. I'm just a humble radio show here, okay? Anyway, Chad, please, let's be in touch. And I pray maybe next year we can still have another conversation, and maybe we're going to still have some sort of a semi-normal life that we can afford money to buy one of your DVDs and we still have electricity to maybe watch these DVDs, okay? And of course, I'm not really that sarcastic, honestly. I'm serious about it. So anyway, let's be in touch, okay? Chad, thank you. Thank you very much. Don't go away, please. I need to ask you something after this segment, okay? Stay there. Okay, listen, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. This is the hour number 2 about guns. A little break, and I give you another little segment. And then we go hour number 3. It's going to be about love. I got great breaking news. Something so funny, you're going to really pee in your pants, okay? I think I can say that on the radio. Don't go away. Don't tread on us. Do you want social justice? Now I give you social justice. The Zanna way. Don't trade on us. The Freedom Rifle by Zanna. The most affordable military-grade semi-automatic AR-15 rifle in M4 configuration. Chambered in 223 Wild that can shoot both 5.56 NATO and 223 Remington. 4 minutes of angle for just $499. Made in the USA. Get your Freedom Rifle now. We need every law-abiding American armed with knowledge and at least one military rifle ready to defend good against evil. With every Don't Tread on Us rifle, you will get free parchment replica of the United States Constitution, free digital CD Don't Tread on Us, free ebook How to Become a Rifleman, free t-shirt Slaves Are Never Armed, I Am Not a Slave, free 30 rounds magazine where allowed by the law, free laser engraved ejection port Don't Trade on Us for just $499. Go to www.freedomrifle.com www.freedomrifle.com. Get your Freedom Rifle now. Okay, guys and girls, this is the last segment, the last part of the second hour segment. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. A couple things before we go to the hour number 3. First of all, the Don't Trade on Us rifle, this concept rifle that I put together, is available. But I tell you something, with the coming elections, the next couple months, I don't know if we're gonna be able to be having pieces in stock, and prices may go up. Price may go up. So I tell you, go to freedomrifle.com, check it out, and seriously, even if you already have a rifle, for this price, for $499, is an investment. You can put it on the side, have a spare rifle, maybe just one day resell it. I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. Also, another thing, if you live in Mojave County, every Sunday I like to get together with some of my listeners who like to shoot rifle. So just to let you know, in case you're interested, I'd like to meet you in person, maybe shoot together. I can show you also the Freedom Rifle. They don't trade on us. And guess what? I would like to train with you. So it's an invitation. I just tell you, go please to lovegunsfreedom.com, lovegunsfreedom.com. There is a place there with the email. You can email me, so I'll let you know in case you want to come, where exactly is the place and the time. Now, a little bit of news, short news. There is a story this week. Arizona woman openly carrying Glock. She was threatened by an armed felon, and then guess what? She killed him. Interesting. This is article directly on ABC 15, channel 15. One thing I want to tell you, the point is, this lady, of course, she was brave and she was trained, and she was able to fight back and win. Okay, kill the assailant. Now, one thing I want to talk about. Normally, many of you may carry the weapon in condition with a round not in the chamber. But when I'm talking about semi-automatic weapons, okay, like a semi-automatic handgun, that for me can be devastating in a way that could be very dangerous, because you need the extra split second to rack that slide and insert the round in the chamber. Now, that's exactly what happened to this woman. She was carrying the weapon. They call it Israeli style. Normally they call it this condition 3, I guess. That means that you don't have the round in the chamber. So anyway, she had to fight back this bad guy, and she was able, of course, to round that chamber, the round. But think about it. It takes you extra half second or a split of a second for sure. That split of a second can be the difference between death and life. So that's all I want to say. Carrying a weapon cocked, let's say, for example, a Glock, okay? Technically, it's the way is a condition with a round in the chamber. There is no external safety, it is true, but your finger is the safety. And you know, if you need a gun, you're going to need it immediately. Even that half second can become really the difference between death and life. And that all you have to do is squeeze the trigger. Instead, if you have to rack the slide and insert the round in the chamber, you may have an extra second, or maybe you cannot even have that type of mobility with your hands. So think about it. Train, in my opinion, with always the round in the chamber. Now, 1911, yes, of course, it's a little touchy because it's, you can see really how cocked the gun, and it's very soft, the little trigger, single action trigger. But remember, that's why you have a safety with a 1911. Regardless, whatever gun you carry, in my opinion, always have a round in the chamber. Now, ready for hour number 3? You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Don't miss this hour because you're going to really have a lot of fun. Don't go away.
You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Zanna on United States.fm network.